so the past can be at peace and you can move forward into the future, living the present moment with your own identity. So though family constellations are all about going back into the past and releasing past pain, it's about literally releasing it so the present moment can be pure and so that the future can come into our lives.
I have a very esoteric question.
Great. I love it.
And I'm not sure even how to pose this. We don't rehearse this, so, I'm free to ask stupid questions.
Absolutely you are.
This ancestral healing is this is the first time I've really heard it explained like this. I get excited because you've said DNA and you've said these things and it carries through this. Let me ask you this, again, an esoteric question. If somebody actually is able to bring this to peace within themselves and dissolve it, does that then carry? Is it dismissed then from their children and all? Is that the end of the line, or does it continue to carry?
Absolutely, 100% yes. Because in the family constellation healing, I like to use images to make it easier for us to understand. So it's like the family soul is an ocean, and every family member is an iceberg floating on that ocean. When people pass away, like your great-grandfather, they melt into that ocean. Everybody shares the same water, but the individuals are different icebergs. But if there's an oil spill in that ocean, the little icebergs are going to get affected, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So when one person goes into a constellation field and releases that pain, it's like clearing away the oil spill so everybody benefits. And I cannot describe to you how many results I have seen, not only with my family. It's been about 11 years that I've been doing constellation work consistently. But the people that I help and everybody that I witness that really embraces this work, it ripple effects with their family members, with the new generations. It really, people don't even have to be aware that you have done a constellation process. They will benefit regardless because it works on a deep unconscious level. So the individual mind does not have to know because everybody shares that same foundation, the collective soul, as Bert Hellinger called it. And this is actually a Zulu modality. It comes from Africa.
Wow.
The person who developed family constellation work used to be a priest in a Catholic church. Wow. And he lived in South Africa for about 16 years. And he learned a lot from the Zulu. So he went there to teach them theoretically about Western thought and Christianity, but he said, well, I'm learning much more from them. And now I understand that as Westerners, we are wrong to think we are individuals. We are much more collective than we think. We first belong to a family soul and a cultural soul. And then we have an individual identity. And once we start developing consciousness, we become reconnected to all of humanity, to all of life. That's why it's the Cardinal Method of life connection. And we transcend our human experience only after we have organized our connections with our families and we have understood who we are as individuals. So that's why the Cardinal Method has 4 pillars, because each pillar addresses one aspect of our existence.
I love it. I love this a lot. And I've heard about the family constellation work as well, and there's even been someone who has developed family constellation where instead of having other people come in and represent the family members, they're doing it with horses.
Oh, wow.
And the horses come in and they reveal more to a person that, because facing family, let's face it, it can be confrontational.
Yeah.
And then when you have the horses, it reduces a bit of that element of the confrontation and allows them to step outside of themselves. But here, you are taking this work even, I guess, one step further by incorporating it with the 3 other pillars. And I can only think that this was kind of downloaded to you, or you've kind of channeled this work. And it seems to me like the results are being profound. Can you share some of those results with us? We'd love to hear.
I would love to, and you're absolutely right. First of all, the Cardinal Method constellations include crystals. So if it's a group of people, everybody holds a stone, because crystals have internal geometry that align consciousness with the higher light. and they have colors that heal the soul. Just by being there in the field, the forces of nature that are present in crystals make the work, I would say, if I had to quantify this, but I need more research, I need more people testing this to confirm it's just an intuition, but it makes things 10 times lighter emotionally, so it's not as dramatic. Things are 10 times faster with crystal energy, so it gives a boost to the prior modalities that the Cardinal Method is inspired in. And yes, you are right about the download. I think I was being prepared since my teenage days, right? Yes. It started when I was 14 years old. My mind was being prepared to receive the Cardinal Method. And on December 11th of 2010, I received a download. I was being trained as a family constellation a family constellation practitioner. And we were in the training, and I received the download. And a lot of indigenous wisdom was coming through saying, you need to align this with the traditional constellation method. So I spoke to my 2 instructors, and I had just recently defended my PhD thesis. So I said, now there's a method here that I need to show you to validate this, because I don't want to think that I'm creating things out of the blue. And they said, okay. So we were there for 3 hours. I showed them everything that was being downloaded to me literally.
Wow.
And they said, this is a system that you need to develop. You have our blessing. You're going beyond constellation. Just go develop that. And I got the chills just seeing this
chills of
right?
validation. Yeah.
Yes. That was in December of 2010, which the yang aspect, the masculine aspect of the Cardinal Method, which are crystals, animal power, and music came to me that date. When I went back to Brazil in December of last year, 9 years later, I had no idea I would get another download. The feminine aspect with plants, ascended masters, which are the heart chakra. So this is also related to the chakras, right? The crystals with the first chakra, the root chakra, the plants with the sacral chakra, the animals on the solar plexus, the ascended masters in the heart, the music with the throat, light and color in the third eye, and the abundance of life, which is life connection, is the crown chakra. So the second pillar of the second half of the Cardinal Method, the divine feminine, the sacred feminine vibration, came last year in December in Brazil. It always happens in Brasilia, which is my hometown, which is the center of the country. I don't know if people know this, but in the middle of Brazil, there is a huge quartz crystal shield below the earth. Amazing. And that is where the 2 downloads have come to me.
That makes total sense.
Absolutely. I was getting chills up my arms as well. I don't know if I'm going to just share it. Kryon has actually given channels about Brazil, and that this area, they have a group of people that are wanting to kind of create a new model for South America, which is aligned with the model of the European Union, where you come together as a trading bloc and everything else. And when we were in Brazil and Kryon was channeling, we would really connect in with that crystalline energy of the earth that is there. So, and that is in the southern hemisphere. It's all linked to the prophecy of the eagle and the condor, where you have the southern hemisphere is the feminine, the mother energy, and everything you said was just giving me chills with you.
I'm interested in, when did you get the download on the divine feminine?
It was December 19th, 2019.
All right. We're into that. This is part of the prophecy of the eagle and the condor, and that is that the divine feminine is going to be more realized and accepted in the northern hemisphere. I just love it that you originated in the love hemisphere, that you have originated in the feminine hemisphere and are bringing all this knowledge to us here now. It's all related. It's one of the reasons you're on the program, of course.
I'm so grateful.
I want to know, because you originated in a very religious country, how did that work right in the middle of Brasilia, or did it affect you, or were you trained in?
It did affect me. It's actually a pretty funny story. My parents are not religious at all. My mother came from a very religious Catholic family.
All right.
And the Brazilian families are very close-knit. And my grandmother and great-grandmother on the maternal side were extremely religious. And when I was born and my brother was born a year later, my parents said, we want them to choose their spiritual faith. We're not going to baptize them in the Catholic Church. But when I was 7, all I could think of was Jesus. He was like, I was so obsessed. Between 7 and 11, all I wanted to do was to be with Jesus Christ. And I told my parents, I need to learn more about his life.
Right.
So I would ask my grandmother, my great-grandmother, and I said, I need to get baptized to feel what he felt. I need to know what his energy is. And I need to get baptized the way he did. So my parents had a swimming pool. And I said, please let me bless the house. Please let me bring things here so that I can be baptized like Jesus.
Was Jesus baptized in a swimming pool? Did I get this wrong?
You know? Though Brazil is very religious, my parents were not. And they thought it was they thought my grandmother was brainwashing me. But now I know they understand it's a different story.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was interrupting with stupid stuff.
He was doing a bad joke.
I was saying, was Jesus baptized in a swimming pool? And I'm sorry to interrupt that. I love the story. So this is great. It's not a bad role model to be obsessed with when you're when you're little. That's a great story.
And you know, I look at your story, and all of it is in preparation for exactly what's happening on the planet now. We need this work, and you got the download 2010, and now Kryon talks about passing the marker. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, 2012 was a marker in time that collectively we were either going to go the path of consciousness and love and self-realization, or down the path of destruction. And so here we are in 2020, where the work that you began, you've now received the download last year on the feminine complete.
Yeah.
So this is something that is going to help a lot of people, and the timing is just so spot on. And again, I'm excited because we have a young female that is leading the way in giving these new tools to the planet.
I'm so grateful. And just so you know, the Cardinal Method master animal is the harpy. It's a South American, Central American eagle. So just wanted to share that.
Oh,
Thank
beautiful.
you. I love that.
Beautiful.
There.
And how is and back to that comment about a young woman. Now, years ago, it was very difficult to begin doing things like this and presenting it to the community. How are you getting your responses? Because you are a young woman and you have this new kind of work. How is that? Share a bit about your journey in that.
Well, it's actually beyond my control. Actually, it was effortless. I've been a university professor for a while, right? I started my academic career when I was 21, when I started teaching. And I knew I needed to develop my rational mind so that I could speak my spiritual truths and be respected in the world. I knew that I needed a PhD so that people would respect the spiritual truths that I needed to bring to the world when the time was right. And when I became a university professor, I was already developing the Cardinal Method as a parallel activity because I wanted to bring the theory of family constellations into the academic world of moral philosophy, most importantly, and the values of different cultures. So I was giving it a scientific academic vibration, which people respected. But my husband got a job in Florida, and I said, okay, let's go, because the best libraries in the world are in the US for what I need to research about indigenous wisdom. And I wanted to replicate my PhD thesis with different nations. So I started working with with indigenous from South America, the Incas, the Tupinambás in Brazil. And I wanted to see how the North American Indians and the Central American Indians, they behaved regarding the soul and everything. So that's a technical story that is not really the point here. But once I got to Florida, I have always connected with my spiritual life, and I had been receiving energy healing sessions in Brazil. I had my Reiki certification, magnified healing, and in the US, I was embraced by the spiritual community of Florida. So I knew in my heart it was another breakthrough when I was taking a course of energy healing to treat myself with energy techniques. I just heard there's like no doubt about this. And I said, I know I have to be doing this right now. And my academic research can wait. I'll go back to that when I'm 70. I cannot be in university libraries anymore. I need to create a center and bring this to people I need to be with hands-on healing now and bring the Cardinal Method to more people. So things happened really fast. I was very supported by the spiritual community of South Florida. I became certified in the US so that I could deliver this work to more people. I opened my healing center in less than a year.
Wow.
And it's been there for 5 years. And I know it's not my individual energy. I know that I'm just kind of a guardian to higher, there's a whole myriad of spiritual energy that is bringing that space to the world, that is supporting this work, that brings the people in online or physically before the pandemic, right?
Yep.
Yes.
And I know it's orchestrated by much higher realms, and I am just one little piece of the puzzle in the story.
I love that, and I love that you're part of the puzzle.
We've
Yes.
got We've got about 5 minutes left. Time goes quickly when you're having fun. Regarding current events, COVID, the whole routine, and all, how does that Cardinal Method apply or not apply to this specific energies we're in right now?
I love that you asked that, because the Cardinal Method literally ultimately is about the joy of life, right? That's the result we want. That's the state of being. That's our natural state of being. That's what we're designed to be as nature and source and God, or whatever you want to call it. That's the intention of our life. The purpose of our lives is, in my opinion, consciousness expansion and the joy of life. So when the pandemic hit and fear was the predominant energy, I knew in my heart that I needed to just encourage the joy of life and bring tools to people that really turned fear into safety and that shifted their focus to the crown chakra, really, to spiritual awakening. And once you're connected to the higher light, there is no fear. You're guarded, you're protected. So the Cardinal Method has brought online constellations for free as emotional support to people. And it's so incredible because I don't control any of this, right?
Okay.
I am, as I said, a piece of the puzzle. I just follow higher instructions. And every time we hold free online constellations in English and Portuguese, we've been doing this once a month, people tap into the joy of life. They're holding crystals. They are so optimistic about it. They understand that we are purging our fear. They understand that this is a spiritual awakening and that this is not evil, that those who really are willing to connect to unconditional love and to the joy of life are going to be supported, and that their lives are going to be incredibly powerful once they awaken to the crown chakra. So I do say this, corona is the crown chakra. It's an awakening moment. And we do have the choice to either step into fear and play
It was like a beautiful love poetry, and I definitely am going to watch the replay myself just so I can hear that beautiful passage about the feelings of God and what they represent. I'd like to do one more question. And this one comes from Donna. Donna is in Winnipeg, Canada, and is asking, could Kryon please explain cosmic law?
Hi, Donna, and the answer is probably not well. This is a tough one. First of all, the only time I've run across that phrase, cosmic law, is the description that I first received from my teacher of Tibetan numerology, and it referred to the Master 22. Now, Master 22 was a duality 2 doubled, and it was in Tibetan numerology was, as I say, 2-2. Which meant duality twice or cosmic law. That's what she said. But since then, I've studied a bit more and feel I can answer it a lot better than just to call it cosmic law. Kryon has also come forward with a little better explanation as well, but it's still a little bit intangible. Cosmic law is not a legal thing, as you might imagine. Instead, it's like the laws of nature would be, or perhaps the laws of physics would be. There's a pattern to everything. That will be a cosmic law. There are hints something far, far more connected is going on than we're aware of in the cosmos. Let's say the ever-evolving creation of infinite variety that we know as nature somehow is grounded on some stable planes of existence. We know that. We see patterns, but what are they? The rhythm of nature seems to conform to a definite pattern. But we really don't understand what that pattern might be. The infinite number of the galaxies and the vast structure of cosmic space, all of it seems to move according to a definite path, or a plan, or a pattern, or a structure. And then you begin to study what it might be. It's a tough definition, since it's so esoteric, it's so intangible, but I believe it exists. I believe that's the law, the cosmic law. Many of you remember my discourse on the structure of 12 somehow being a universal constant. It's the same pattern. It's in our physics, music, computers, phones, memory chips. It constantly appears throughout our spiritual history, 12. So that I believe is part of that cosmic law as well. And I somehow think that love and compassion, the energies of those are all part of it as well, but I don't know how. I'm not sure that physicists do either. These are energies. They are not emotions, they're energy. So I think cosmic law, I think of it as the structure of the universe that gives us a glimpse of the framework of perfect love and the attributes of it. In duality, it wouldn't represent one side or the other of a scale of justice. You've seen that scale. It's the scale itself. The kind of the way things are. And I think we're beginning to understand that we humans are very much a part of all of it. Thanks, Donna, for that very insightful question.
And thank you, Lee, for that very insightful answer. The beautiful poetry that Lee expressed before is still with me, the words, the imagery, and I'd like to use that in a meditation as we prepare for Kryon's channel. So I invite you to close your eyes and visualize a beautiful rainbow. And this rainbow goes across the sky in a beautiful arc and lands in a pot of gold. And yet the pot of gold is, as we heard earlier, a cauldron of liquid light and love. And so in this visualization, feel, sense, or imagine being transported by a fluffy white cloud up onto that rainbow, the beautiful rainbow mist of all the colours in the spectrum of light. And as you move along this rainbow of all the spectrums of light, you start heading towards that cauldron of liquid light, golden energy of the Creator. And as you start to glide and move down this rainbow, all the fears, worries, stress, and anxiety of the day are being melted away They drop from you. They fall away like little misty sparks that just dissolve. And as you move further and further down the rainbow, you start to feel the love essence of the golden cauldron calling to you. Come sit with me. Come be a while. Come and relax and hear what the Creator has for you. And so now we gently sit in this beautiful liquid-like cauldron as we now prepare to hear the message from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service, filled with hope. This is the third week that we will again discuss that word, hope. I would love to think that all of those watching this at the moment would have seen the first two channelings in this 4-channel series about hope. But that's not always the case. So as I said on the first time, I'm going to define it. And I'm going to do it in a similar way every single program. It's important that you understand the power of the one word. It's important that you understand what it is not and what it is. Hope is probably one of the most powerful energies a human can have. And I'm going to explain as much as I can, and I'm also then going to give you an area of the 4 hopes that we are covering, the one for today. But I must go through this first. I want you to see and feel and understand what hope truly is. There are several attributes. One, the first, is what hope is not. Hope is not faith. Now we're dealing with words here. Words in many languages mean many kinds of things. The semantics, as you would say, of what you've been taught a word is or is not. This may then change that. I hope it does. It will help you to perhaps reframe what hope truly is to me, or what it is to the other side of the veil. It's so important. Hope is not faith. Faith is something that has been given to you as a word where you trust unseen forces to then do something for you that you're not doing yourself. That is the element of faith. Hope is not faith. Hope is active, faith is passive. This is how we will define it for these lessons that I'm giving you in these 4 weeks. It's what hope is to me, to you, in the teaching of today that I want you to grasp. Let's go with the first one. Hope is the energy of positive expectations. Hope is something you send forward for yourself. Imagine that long train track of your future, of your life, or for instance, just a little bit of the next week or 2 or 3, doesn't matter. If you truly have that energy of positive expectations to put in front of you, it changes everything. Absolutely everything. 2 people in a room. One tells the other, you're going to die because you have this certain disease. In comes the third person who says, wait a minute, there's been new research. No, you're not. There's something else. You've just gone from despair to hope. And the hope may keep you alive. The hope may save your life. All of these things we talk about continually. What the human being can do with their own chemistry and how they feel about things, that's hope. It changes everything. Hope is a designer energy. Hope is something where you can design benevolent outcome. You design it to positive expectations and you send it forward in your own life. Do you like that? Hope is health. Hope is health. Hope becomes your future. It's an energy that's so active that it becomes what you tell it to become. This is the power of hope. Hope is something that can also destroy despair. Hope destroys depression. That's what hope truly is. I wanted to give you these things today that I gave you the last 2 times we were with you, perhaps in slightly different words, and we're going to do it one more time, for I want you to see what hope can do. The circle of 12 tonight will be another exercise just like the last 2, very similar, where you package hope and you send it forward in a very visual way that you can understand what it does for the human psyche, what it does for the human chemistry. There are those who will casually use the word, well, I hope this works, not understanding. That's more like faith. Hope is an affirmation action. It puts together a package that changes the chemistry of the human being, relaxes you, and puts you on a course of benevolence. There is nothing like it, dear ones. To have hope when there was no hope is like black and white. To have hope when there is no hope is like turning on the light in a dark room. Some of you have actually had this happen, where you were in depression or despair over something you felt was happening, only to have it all turn around in a moment. The phone call that you get where there's been a problem with loved ones, and you think the worst and you wonder what has happened in that moment, whether they're safe or not safe. And then another phone call comes, and it's the actual loved one. Mom, Dad, I'm fine. What has happened in that moment or two? That is what hope is and does. That is the feeling that I'm speaking about. But rather than having that kind of a cause and effect in a phone call or no phone call or worry or no worry, can you package that as though the phone call had already come in and put it upon yourself and send it forward? This week I want you to concentrate on one hope for the planet. Again, a hope that's the energy of positive expectation, sending it out And that is one of the things that we have spoken of now 4 months. Light is starting to occur on the planet. That's a metaphor. Transparency of thought. Light, that would be the winning of light over dark. That would be a higher consciousness attribute that starts to win over a lower consciousness attribute. And this has been the way of it for eons, that the lower consciousness always seems to win. Always. There are some of you who actually have seen this in your life so often that you have a hard time believing me that light will win. And instead, you only will look at history and say, well, it never has before. Why should I think so now? We've told you. We told you. Because since 2012, things are different. This has been the shift that so many have spoken of. So many indigenous have talked about. Etched into their rocks, it is. Etched into their pyramids, it is. And here it is. Light will start to win over darkness, and that is why there's so much trouble right now on this planet, because it's fighting back. Did you notice? Uprising where uprising normally isn't. It's happening because there are individuals who are starting to say, no more darkness. We will not tolerate it anymore. I want you to see a hope package and send it forward for the light of the planet. The light of the planet. The light of the planet. Can you do that? Other weeks, we're talking about yourself for other things, but today, this Wednesday, we speak of hope for light. And you're going to see that in places you don't expect. Places that normally are known for corruption. You're going to start to see some light at that point there, and you'll go, well, that's different. Well, that feels different. Do they really mean that? Can this really be happening? You're going to see it at levels that you never saw it before, even a little. And then you start to see what happens. It's almost like light is infectious in a very good way. Light creates light. It erases darkness, and more are attracted to it. They're attracted to compassion and kindness as a way of things. They're attracted to truth as a way of things. You're attracted to those who would think forward. What is the best solution for this or that puzzle, or what will help the most people, truly help them? And they move, you might say, in ways, this darkness that goes from greed and corruption more and more to the opposite, where they see compassion and kindness as a result. They see it as a goal. And they start to see things completely differently than ever before. And that's the key. Light for this planet. Can you do it? Can you do it? Can you sit and send light? That is the hope of the planet at this moment, this day, right now. And so it is.
And following on from that beautiful message of hope for the planet, I invite you to open your eyes if you've had your eyes closed, and slowly bring your awareness back into your body, back into the room as we move